Happy New Year! I'm so excited for our first live stream of 2023. This is Coach Joanne saying yes to a limitless 2023. As I was thinking about this message, even before the year started, I'm like, we must take the limits off in 2023. And as I wait for you to hop in, as I prepare myself also to receive what it is that we'll be talking about today, I want us to operate from an elevated place. I want us to operate from a place of belief. I want us to operate from a place where we are certain. We're walking with certainty. We're walking with conviction. We're walking with belief that whatever it is that we're trusting for this year is going to manifest and it's going to take place. And you have the authority, you have the power, you have the power, let's stick to that, to call that which you want to see into your year. So as we start today, I just want, wherever you're streaming in from, whether Facebook or YouTube, for you to say in the chat that I am taking the limits off 2023. What are limits? Limits are boundaries. Limits are, you know, things that we have imposed on ourselves or even society has imposed on us. In fact, it's always so much easier for me to tell you exactly what it is. So what are limits? Let's just get it from the dictionary. What are limits? What's the meaning of limits? Because I cannot tell you to take off what you don't know, right? So let's be very clear what a limitation is. So we'll start with the limit and then limitation. So a limit is a point or level beyond which something does not or may not extend or pass, right? It is a restriction on the size or amount of something permissible or possible. So when you put a restriction on what you think is possible, when you put a restriction on what you think is permissible, you are putting a limit. So ask yourself, where is it that you're putting a limit in your life? Where are limits showing up in your day-to-day activities in 2023? And let's even take it another notch higher. What is the word? What does the word limitation mean? Because for me, I like operating from a place of let's know what it is that we are dealing with, because um you cannot defend or you cannot resolve that which you don't know have the word for. So what is a limitation? A limitation meaning is a limiting rule or circumstance, a restriction. So a limitation is something that holds you back. A limitation could also be a rule that restricts what you can do, right? So it's something that puts a barrier between you and the limitless possibilities that lie in your life. What I'm here to say to you, in other words, for limitations are restrictive weakness, lack of capacity, inability, or a handicap. So what I'm here to talk to you, ladies, about, and gents, because we always have a few good men, is how do we not allow this restrictive weakness, this lack of capacity, this inability or handicap to stop us, this limit or bound to stop us from living our lives. So it's important for us to understand what that limitation is, and I've been able to give you the dictionary, proper dictionary meaning of what a limitation is. And when you understand what it is, one of my coaches says something to me and I love it. She always says this, that happiness starts from the truth. And the first thing is establishing for ourselves what our truth looks like for 2022 and what could be potentially limiting us from being the biggest vision of ourselves. Like, so what will restrict us in terms of our capacity? What will stop us from shooting higher, going big this year, right? So I'm very excited for what it is that we're going to talk about, because if someone or something has limitations, what does that mean? It means that that person is not playing full out. Hi, Stephanie. Thanks for joining in. It means you're not playing full out. It means you're not playing at the level that you should be playing at. That means there's a deficit in terms of what it is that your performance levels. So ask yourself, where am I constraining myself? Where am I holding myself back this year? Where am I curtailing myself? Where am I curbing myself? Where am I stopping myself, right? So I'll get right to it, because many of us are operating within self-imposed boxes, self-imposed limits. We are preventing ourselves from, really fully living out, right, our purpose and our calling, whatever that looks like for us. So the fundamental thing I've learned in my life, in helping me, not only as a coach, but even in establishing real connections with people, and being able to set a higher bar of excellence in everything I do, the first thing is trust. And I say that, it's incredible that literally we're getting into halfway through January. And when I think about the most fundamental relationships that I've been able to nurture in my life, it starts with trust. And if you're not in a trusting environment, whether in relationally or whether in business, you will find yourself operating within a cap. You'll always find yourself being limited. So trust, before we even get into this, is the fundamental foundations for all our interactions and all our relationships, and how we build the capacity to step fully into our vision, to step fully into our mission, to step fully into our calling, and to do what we have been set to do. So people cannot, whether they work, you have employees or not, people working for you or working with you, buying from you, clients, or even staff that you're working alongside, and friends that you gather along life's journey, come because they trust you. And there is that symbiotic relationship between the two of you, or the group of people that you're dealing with. And a lot of us, the reason why we're not able to fully get to the maximum of our talents and our giftings, is because we do not trust ourselves. So I want to question you first. Do you trust yourself fully? Do you believe that you are going to do what you said that you're going to do this year? Because I found that in my own life, let me talk for myself, let me not talk for other people. The times I've doubted my capabilities fully, or the times that I felt that I can do it, I'm not really sure, oh, I have so much going on, there's so much happening in my life. When this trust in self, right, and trust in believing that I can do it goes down, I find that my limits are also, shot at. Like, I cannot move. I'm held back. I'm stuck. Why? Because of that. I'm not trusting myself. So where I'm starting with trust as a fundamental is because if you do not trust, and you do not believe in the magic and the energy and the infinite possibilities of 2023, then you'll not get to really experience that. Because how can you experience that which you're not trusting is going to happen in your life? So the first thing, after I'm talking about, is just bringing it in with trust, but also understanding your capacity. Many of us do not face our capacities in the eye. When I talk about capacity, your capacity is not your ability to do more or all. Your capacity is the ability to handle the moment. So, how are you handling the here and the now? Right now, I'm here, right? My capacity in this here and the now is doing this live stream. When I finish this live stream, I'm going to be doing other things. How I'm present in those other activities, wherever it is that I'm going after this, is my capacity for that thing. So I don't want you to spread yourself in such a way that your capacity, quote unquote, is so stretched that you cannot even do anything, because that is how you curtail your limits. Because you're stretched, you're too stretched, you cannot handle anything. So understand how you're going to expand and preserve your capacity to get the utmost success and take the limits off in 2023. So think about your wellness capacity. Your health is your wealth. I've been and I've had health challenges in the past. How can I coach? How can I teach? How can I mentor if my physical health, my mental health, my spiritual health is not at its optimum? So I want you to ask yourself, who do you need to support you in those areas first, in terms of your wellness capacity? So maybe for some of you, it's getting a personal trainer. For some of you, maybe it's, just joining a regular gym. For some of you, it's getting a therapist, someone to help you process your emotions, your traumas, your triggers, right? For some of you, it's getting a coach to move you from where you are to where it is that you want to go, because the abilities you have to hold on to, the capacities I'm talking about, is what will determine the extent to which you can take the limits off in 2023. So understand your wellness capacity, which I've just mentioned. Another capacity I want you to really think long and hard about this year is your curiosity capacity. How curious are you about what the year holds for you and what's in store? There's an aircraft that's making so much noise. I don't know if you guys can hear it. I, yeah, but think about that. Think about your curiosity capacity. How curious are you to step into new environments, to step into new areas, to step into uncharted territory? I was talking to a client of mine earlier, and she's like, 2023, when you say is the time for me to take the limits off, and she's like, for her curiosity is around how she can really make the most of the different facets of her life. So be curious about how you can be a better parent. Be curious this year about how you can be a better spouse. Be curious about how you can be a better entrepreneur. Be curious about how you can be better in your spiritual life. Many churches at this time of the year, they have their fasting, right? And one of the things I had to sit down and ask myself is my curiosity around that. Because years gone, I'd reach day 2, day 3, and I'm like, this thing is really hard. Day 5, day 6. And I'm like, this year I'm doing it. This year I'm committing to it. This year I'm going to walk with curiosity of what would it look like on the last day of the fast, looking back and saying that, you know what, Joanne, you did it. And especially because it's so early in the year, January, wouldn't that set such a good precedent for my life? So think like that. And I'm thinking to myself, January 29th, when we finish, if I don't do it properly, how will I be feeling? And then I go to the flip side. I'm curious and I'm like, if you crash it, Joanne, which you will, because I'm very committed to doing it, not for myself, but for even so many things in my life and my relationship with God as well this year. And I'm like, I'm curious how it will be like for me when I'm celebrating myself and saying that you've done it, Joanne, good and faithful servant. You committed to something and did it. So the first tenets of you taking the limit off is trusting. I've talked about that, trusting in yourself, trusting in your capabilities. And then the second thing is your capacities. I've talked about your wellness capacity, your curiosity capacity, your intellectual capacity. How far can you stretch yourself intellectually? It's week 2. I have set a limit of reading at least a book a week. So by the time I finish this year, by God's grace, I should have read 52 books. And I'm thinking of taking that top out 60. That's intellectual capacity. How am I doing that? I have literally written the list of all the books I need to read. I have incorporated those books in some of my programs that I'm teaching this year. So I get to read these books with my clients. I get to read these books with the people that are working with me. So I have no choice, because how can I be telling my clients to do something that I'm not doing? As I said, you trusting yourself first is going to lead to you getting the results that you want in terms of your capacity. So think about your capacity, because when you get your capacities right, this is the most precious investment that you can give to yourself this year. All right. So let's go deeper into what taking the limits means of taking the limits off in 2023 looks like. I believe by now you've set your mantra, you've set your goals, you know what it is that you're heading. Yeah. So for myself, I shared with my clients, I shared it on my email list that my theme for this year is maximum results. maximum impact. And when I sat down, I'm like, I just don't want maximum impact. I want maximum results. So I made it a double theme: maximum impact, maximum results. And for me to be able to have a deeper impact for you guys, for my clients, for my potential clients, for the work that I've been put here to do, for me to take the limits off, I need to question myself. What does maximum impact look like for me? Showing up more, right? Not only on social media, but even in person, right? One of the projects that I have this year is to run an in person retreat. I'm very excited about that, like a really, really, really exotic retreat. So I know that's something that I'm bracing myself for. An international retreat with people coming from different parts of the world. And for me, that's so exciting. It's a project I'm excited about. But do you think I'm not scared or I'm not worried about it? So part of taking the limits off is requiring you to look at your anxieties and your fears. And as any normal human being, some of the questions would be around, oh, will people sign up? Oh, will they be willing to come to the places? Will they be willing to travel across the globe to partake in this event, in this retreat? So I'm just throwing it out there. Why? Because part of taking the limits off is naming the thing and saying it now. So the more I'm saying it to my friends, the more I'm saying it to my clients, the more I'm holding myself accountable to doing it. So think about um your your mantra, right? One of my clients, she shared with me, has it was something like, do the next brave thing. So part of you taking the limits off yourself is that, do the next brave thing. So if you're watching me live on the replay, sit down and ask yourself, what's the next brave thing you need to do? Maybe it's to make a call with a potential business partner. Maybe it's to make a call to, get a coach, get support. Maybe the next best step is for you to consider, what is a mindset shift that you need to make to move you forward. Why I'm sharing these things is because this is the process that I take myself through every single day. Every single day. And I learn to be mindful. Part of me taking the limits off is being mindful about my words, being mindful about my actions, and being mindful about my boundaries. Do you have boundaries set for your life? Do you have boundaries set for your life, or everything for you is free flow? Where do you start and where do you end? And where do other people start and where do they end? Think to yourself where your life is just mishing and mashing with other people's, and how that affects you. So building healthy boundaries is part of taking the limits off, because if you have no boundaries in your life, I can tell you for a fact, you're going to have a very big problem taking the limits off this year. So set new boundaries for yourself this year, right? So the first point was about trust. The second point was about building your capacity, your wellness capacity, your intellectual capacity, your wellness capacity, your curiosity capacity. I spoke about those. And then obviously reviewing what your mantra for the year is, because that will be your leading guide every single day, right? Understanding to yourself that when things get tough, because they will, I've had my share already, and it's just the first, second week. And I'm like, how can I be resilient, ready, no matter what? How can I push through obstacles and battles? Because they will be there. Let nobody lie to you that everything is going to be hunky dory. You know, some of you have to make decisions this year, big decisions in your life, whether to stay, whether to go, what to do, who to take with you. Those are big decisions. And for you to take the limits off, you have to have suitable boundaries around that. So being mindful of your words, your actions, and boundaries, and really being, clear to yourself succinctly, so that this is my focus. This is where I'm paying attention to this year. So, where are you going to be paying attention to? Is it around your relationships, around your business, around your health? Take one area of focus and then have the sub goals under that. Because you can't do everything. You're one person, you can only do so much. So be very clear to yourself what your area of focus will be, and then start doing that. So, how do you set these boundaries that I'm talking about? What are some of the ways you can start exercising boundary setup? Hello. Yeah, boundaries are so important. So it could be setting time limits for yourself, for your specific day to day activities and tasks. So saying to yourself that if I'm going to do my emails, I'm going to do my emails between 9 and 9:30 a.m. or 9 and 10 a.m. If I have a team meeting, my team meeting is going to be from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Really being um very being aware of your time, because being mindful about your time, because if you're mindful about your time, you will also be mindful about your energy. I shared with my, in my WhatsApp stories and all that yesterday, and I'd want to read it because I think it would really help somebody here. That we really need to learn to preserve our energies, and I'm gonna share this with you right now. I said. I said to them, the post that I shared with them is that while you're out there doing your best for others, right? This is you giving your best of this year. Don't forget to do the best for yourself as well. Find time for yourself to relax, spare some energy to enjoy the life you're creating for others. So as you're busy serving others, can you also enjoy the life that you've been given, right? Spare some energy to enjoy the life you're creating for others. You need yourself as well. Pushing yourself to your limits and enduring fatigue will only leave you exhausted. I've been there where I've pushed myself, and it's not ended really well. Take time off to recharge your body and mind. Visit people and places that heal and inspire you. The moment, why am I saying this is because if you're a performer, a top performer, type A personality like myself, you want to give of yourself. So in every area, you want to perform, you want to give it your best, whether it's your business, whether it's, and sometimes you're just the one person. So part of you taking the limits off is saying that, you know what, it's okay for me to rest and recharge. And yesterday during my coaching call with my coach, one of the things that she said to me when I was setting my goals for this year is to incorporate more rest. And she actually referred a book to me, right? And it's, I'll refer it to you as well because somebody may want to buy the book. It's called Rest is Resistance. That's the book. And the author, let me get the author for you. Rest is Resistance. Because some of you are just tired and the year has just started. So incorporating rest for me is how I'll take the limits off for myself. So the book is Rest is Resistance by Tricia Hersey. It's a wonderful book I've come to learn. And if you're one of those people who needs to understand the power of rest and how to incorporate rest in your life, because we're living in a society where we're just forced to do, and it's unsustainable. It's simply unsustainable for the long term, right? And you'll crash because your body can only take so much. So I want you to think, if you're one of those people like myself who needs to incorporate rest, to take more rest and less hustle, less struggle. That's how you increase your capacity to be limitless. It's not the opposite. It's not like the more you hustle, the more you grind, the more you go crazy, the more you burn out. That's how you take the limits off. It's the opposite, because the first four letters of the word restoration is rest. So for you to be fully restored so that you can operate at your optimum in your business, operate your optimum in your marriage, operate your optimum as a parent, operate at your optimum in your passions, it will require you to be gentle to yourself, to have self compassion, and that includes rest. I'm really emphasizing that because I don't want you guys to lose it this year. I've been there where you're just like, it's just too much, it's too overbearing. But for you to be able to get to the highest levels I've talked about, you really must do what I've shared with you, incorporating rest. So get that book, Rest is Resistance by Tricia Hersey. well recommended by my coach for me for this year, and it's one of the books I'm going to be reading with my in my different programs, because I really want to create a culture of rest so that we can be able to operate at our optimum. Hello, Miss Michelle. Hello, Miss Esther. Lovely to have you. So, as I talked about taking the limits off and talked about the importance of, the capacity I talked about trusting yourself and honoring yourself and believing yourself. We've talked about boundaries. Let's make yourself a priority, right, this year. So let me give you some simple ways that you can set deeper boundaries for yourself in 2023. So the first one, and I had already started talking about that, is respect your time, right? Always make time for yourself and prioritize your needs. It is perfectly fine to say no. No is a complete sentence. I really love that sentence, that word. No is a complete sentence. The second way that you can establish deeper boundaries for yourself in 2023 this year is really speaking your truth, right? Be truthful to yourself, to thine own self, be true. Happiness comes from being true to yourself. If there's an area of your life that's not working, if there's a relationship in your life that's not working, if there's an element of your life that needs addressing, part of your boundary processing and taking the limits off is you looking at it authentically and truthfully and speaking your truth, because the truth shall set you free. Many of us, we cover up things, not, I'm saying as people, human beings. We cover up stuff. We cover up for people. We cover up for ourselves. We cover up. But let me tell you, until you face the truth for yourself, and that's my work as a coach, encouraging myself even to be truthful, because we are wired to protect people. We are wired to protect situations. Oh, I know they didn't mean it like that. Yes, they did. They did. They meant exactly what they were doing. They meant exactly what they were saying. They meant every single thing that they said. And when people show you who they are, believe them. And this is the year, as you take the limits off, that you're like, you know what? This I will accept, this I will not be accept, because that's part of your boundary building process. Howdy, Salma. Nice to have you. The next thing in the boundaries is to set your limits. So I've talked about this as I was going along, but I'll emphasize this again. Respect your physical, your mental, and emotional limits, and know when to say no. Listen, if you cannot do something, it's not about the other person, it's about you. You being honorable to yourself. I spoke about honor, right? At the beginning, being honorable to yourself and being honorable to this process. I talked about how I'm holding myself, and I shared that. If you didn't want there from the beginning, you can watch it later, to a higher standard by using curiosity, by saying, if I do this thing, how will I feel at the end of it? Because you are created to do big things. You are wired to do hard things, but you have to come in with that thing of, let me put myself at the back of this thing 2 months down the line, 21 days down the line, and that I have accomplished it. What will that look like for me? Right? So do that for yourself. So that's setting the limits, respecting your physical, mental, and emotional limits. Right? Another way that you can set your boundaries for yourself so that you can take the limits off this year is recognizing your values. Make decisions that always reflect your values and your core beliefs. If anything falls outside of your core beliefs or your values, question it. So, my values, I share them all the time, right? My purpose, my faith, excellence, abundance, and freedom. Those are my values. So, if something is taking away from a spirit of excellence in my life, in whatever form, I will question it. Why? Why is this happening like this? Why is that excellence and that higher standard being compromised? And why am I allowing myself to compromise it? So, if your value is around your family and you're constantly fighting with your kids, you're constantly fighting with your spouse, You have to question that value and question yourself, what is making you go against the very thing that you call your core belief and your non-negotiable? So be very clear to yourself that this is a year where you are allowing yourself to question yourself more. Don't just take things the way they are surface value. This afternoon, interestingly, I needed to to book an appointment for something, and they said that you can only book the appointment through the phone. And I called, like I was on hold for like almost 1 hour. Like I was going downstairs and upstairs and leaving my phone literally on hold. And I'm like, no, this is just not acceptable. I had to set that limit for myself. I can't be on hold for 1 hour. I have a client call. I have things. I'm right preparing for this live. I have things to do. So I entered my car and I drove to the place and I said, listen, it's not far. You said that we can only book this appointment by phone, but you're not picking the phones. I've been on hold for the last 1 hour, over 1 hour. And the lady is like, okay, can I put you in the schedule? And I'm like, that's what I've come for. And within 2 minutes, I was done. So it's you setting that higher standard for yourself and saying, I can accept this and I cannot accept the other. And I know the rules. The rules are like can only do it by phone. But I'm like, I can't waste my time. My time is valuable. It's easier for me to jump into the car. It's a 5 minutes drive, ask them to do what they need to do, and it worked. So also ask yourself, how can you ask for more? How can you place a higher demand on other people as you're going through your life? Because many of us, we are like, it's okay, I don't want to affect anybody, I don't want to rock the boat, oh, they're busy. No, you have to say to yourself, this is what I want, these are my needs, and this is how I would like them to be met. And not from a narcissistic way, not from a cruel way, not from a bitchy way, not from a selfish way, but from a place of understanding yourself and your values and what you truly believe in. I worked in customer service for so long. I Customer service for me is so critical in my business. How do we treat our clients? How do we treat the staff? How do we treat the people that are in close proximity with me? How do I treat the people who are not in close proximity with me? Am I the same person in person when you meet me as I am online? Because there are people who are the exact opposite. They come here, they talk online, and when you meet them in person, they're just not nice. So the same person you are here, YouTube, Facebook, is that the same person you're going to meet in real life. Granted, there can be differences because maybe when you're doing the videos, you know a certain way, but in real life, maybe you're an introvert, you're an extrovert, but you're still the same person. If you guys understand what it is, think about that. To recognize your values, recognize your beliefs, and make a stand for the and. Don't ask yourself, write that, make a stand for the and. What does this mean? Many of us make a stand for but. So you say, I can do this, but. I want you to ask yourself and talk to yourself differently. How can I do this and? Make a stand for the and. How can I be a good entrepreneur and a good mother? How can I be a good mother and a good spouse? Not how can I be this but taking away from the other one. So ask yourself the deeper questions, and that's how you take the limits off. Another thing is respect others. That's part of really creating boundaries for yourself as you take the limits off this year. Respect others, be mindful of how your thoughts, your actions, your words affect other people's feelings. There are people who feel nothing. Hi, Joyce. Thanks for joining in. The people who have zero conscience, zero. They don't care if they hurt you. They don't care if they kick you in the face as they go about getting what it is that they want in life. They don't care if to them, the end justifies the means. But that's not the type of person you are. You're a loving person, you're a kind person, you're a nurturing person. And because you're that, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in your life. So if you're nice to me, you're nice to your neighbor, you're kind to your children, you're kind to your boss, it comes back, it reverberates back to you. Because the energy that we give is what we receive. And part of taking the limits off this year is understanding it's not just about the giving energy, it's about the receiving energy. Be ready to receive, and I'm going to talk about that some more as we progress. Another part of your boundaries is indulging in self-care. And self-care is not about manicures and pedicures and going to have your hair done and all those things, bubble baths and candles and nice indulgent things. That's an element, right? But I want you to go deeper in your self-care. What are the activities that bring you joy and peace? Because as you ladies may know, and gents, I always say for me, my peace is my priority. Peace is my priority. If there's something that is taking away my peace, I have to deal with it. So part of my self-care and part of me being fully expressive to myself and in being full transparent and being in full transparency to myself is that where is my peace being undermined? Where is my joy being undermined? And part of self care is looking at that. How can I bring more activities and things that bring me joy and peace, and the things that replenish my body, my mind, and my spirit? So you are, you're made up of your body, you're made up of your soul, you're made up of your mind, your emotions, right? All these things, how do you balance them? How do you get out of your head? How do you get out of your feelings? How do you get out of your moods? That's part of self-care, and that's part of the boundary creation process, right? Another thing that will help you take the limits of this year is to move from deflecting to reflecting. What is to deflect? Let's look to the meaning of the word. I love looking for meanings. uh so we said here to deflect. Let's see what deflection means. The action or process of deflecting or being deflected, turning aside. It's a deviation, right? When you deflect, you're departing. You're turning aside or off course, and or it's a detour. It's a divergence, deviation. You're diverting. Why am I talking about deflecting to reflecting? Is because many of us, as we go through life happens. Life is happening every single day to us. And it's so easy to deflect ourselves from it, to say that, you know what, I'm being thrown off course. Life is happening. There's something that I need to process. There's something that I need to deal with. We deflect. We put our heads in the sand, right? And many of these things that we deflect, they're really outside of our control, because people will hurt you. Circumstances will happen, right? You will hurt people. Let's also be clear with that. But rather than thinking to yourself, I've hurt this person or this person has hurt me, how do I approach it? Many people would be like, oh, whatever, it's okay. Let's just let it be, move on. But you don't process those feelings, and that will affect you. When you brush things aside, because I know I've been there, I've shared that here, where I'm like, let's move on, let's move forward without really processing the thing. So instead of brushing and putting things aside, learn to face it. Learn to face people, learn to face things, learn to face processes, however uncomfortable it is. Learn to face it, if I can see that in the chart, and reflect and learn to reflect on yourself and the situation. Why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? Why did this thing really offend me? Why did that person take away my peace? Why did that person take away my joy? How come when I'm in constant interaction with this person, I lose it? How come when I'm in constant interaction with this person, I come out feeling sick? Ask yourself those questions. Don't deflect it. Reflect on it, right? Reflecting on our thoughts and physical and emotional needs will always teach us to be mindful, and it's going to transform something unpleasant into something beautiful. I was talking to one of my clients this afternoon on our call, and I was just telling her that one of the biggest gifts I've been given through coaching for myself is I'm able to remove myself from situations and look at them very objectively because I have the self coaching tools. And these tools are so important to have where you separate yourself from a circumstance and you're like, yes, it's me, but let me remove myself from it and look at it objectively. So that way, I'm able to get outside of my head. And one of the things I do is I always say, would I tell my client this? And if you're a parent, ask yourself, would this be the way I would help my child resolve the thing? Because many of us are very good at sorting other people's issues and other people's situations. But when it comes to yourself, you're so hard on yourself, you're so harsh on yourself, or the same thing I've said, you deflect from issues. So if you're guilty of deflecting from criticism, or you're guilty of deflecting from negativity, try and reflect on it and use it to learn and grow. Yes, Esther, what you've said, face it, because the more we face it, the more we look at these things, the more we approach these things, the more we allow ourselves to really be truthful to ourselves. Because I've said this, happiness comes from us. Happiness comes from us being truthful to ourselves, right? And also, one of the things I always say is, how can I use this thing not to be like it's working against me? It's working for me. It didn't happen to you, it's happening for you, right? I remember a situation I was going through that was really tough, very dark for me. And I had to sit down, and I remember talking to a friend about it, and he said to me, ask yourself, Joanne, what you always tell me. How is this working for you and not to you? And I sat down, just as I said, I did not deflect, I reflected. And I sat down and wrote, and I want to give you this thing. I write like 50 ways the thing is working for me, however bad it looks like. Who will I be on the other side of it? When I've been pulled apart, when I've been broken, when I've gone through all my emotions, and then I'm put together back little by little by little, who will I be on the other end? Yeah. So when you learn to do this, right, you'll be able to focus on learning and growth amidst life's chaos and adversity. Because one thing I'm saying, and I'm repeating this, we are not exempt from trouble. When I say take the limits off, it doesn't mean that troubles will not come. It's not going to mean that tribulations will not come, but how you handle them. Understand that. And who can hold you accountable? Because many of us are not held accountable by anybody. We have no accountability system to support us. So you just willy nilly with your goals, you're just willy nilly with your life, whatever goes, whatever happens, whatever. That will not move you forward this year. So ask yourself how you're going to be held accountable. So I'm going to give you some things to encourage you in terms of your self-reflection. We've done this before, but I cannot reiterate. For you to take the limits of this year, you need to get these 10 thoughts. And if you have your notebook, take them. And if you're here and you can put it in the chat, I would love to see them. Is what am I proud of, right? Up until this point this year. I did share the beginning mine, being consistent with a New Year fast and saying, I'm going to do it, I'm going to crush it, I'm going to do it. And I did mention, this is my first live stream this year, that last week I was going to take most of the time off, honoring that and keeping my word to myself. So, what am I proud of this first 2 years? Not 2 years, first 2 weeks of the year. Do that for yourself, because that's the thing you're going to use as momentum. That's the thing you're going to clutch on. That's the straw you're going to clutch on when things get rough, because you're going to be like, if I did this first 2 weeks, I'm going to push myself to the end of the year. I'm going to make sure I create an environment to succeed this year, right? And then asking yourself, what are you dreading this year? Because many of us just look at the things, the expectations, take the limits off. It's all joy, it's all peace, it's all happiness, it's all good. New year, new year, new mindset, new joy, new all those beautiful emotions, but also be, truthful to yourself and ask yourself, what are some of the things I'm dreading? And be transparent with yourself. Yeah. So some of it could be a habit, a pattern that is year in, year out. It could be something, an individual that you're like, I don't know why I keep up with this every single year. A habit, as I said. Face yourself. What am I dreading this year and why? Right? What do I need to let go of this year for my well-being in 2023? Some people, it would be less alcohol, less sugar for me, less think whatever it is for you, more exercise, putting in more steps, right? I got a really nice calendar to where I can put in my daily steps every single day. So recording, I want to do the minimum of 10,000. Yesterday I didn't do none of that. I think I did like 6,000 something. And going back to myself, and I'm like, okay, you didn't do the 10,000, but I see it. It's a documented thing, right? Then, so what do you need to do for your well-being? Ask yourself, right? What makes me excited for 2023? What are you looking for? I've shared about my retreat and how I'm excited about planning that. I don't even know where it's going to be. I don't even know when it's going to be, but it's something that is such a beautiful project for me that every time I think about it, it just gives me such warm, fuzzy feelings about it. What are you excited about? Some of you, you're gonna meet a new partner. Some of you are going to get off an old partner and meet a new partner. Some of you are gonna have a new baby. It could be anything. What are you excited about this year? What makes you excited for this year? Some of you will launch your businesses. Some of you will hire a coach for the first time. There'll be many fasts, which is the next thing. What will be one of your fasts for 2023? Fast, like FIRST. What's the thing that you'll do for the first time this year? So for some of you, it could be like, you know what, this is the year I want to become vegan. This is the year I want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro for the first time. This is the year I'm going to write my first book, right? Think. That's exciting. That's something to look forward to. That's something to anticipate, right? What do I need to practice for my boundaries this year? I've talked about that. These are 10 questions that will help you take the limits off. They may sound simplistic. You'll be like, oh, she's not giving us anything that we don't know. But let me tell you how you master stuff. And I say this to my clients all the time, is hearing the same thing over and over and over again until it becomes second nature, until it becomes so natural to you. So if you're already not practicing these things and you know them, then there's a problem. Ask yourself, why am I saying, oh, there's nothing new here she's saying? Yet there's no evidence of the fruit of these things in your life. That's why you need to hear them over and over again. And that's what I do for myself. I can know stuff, but am I practicing it? Those are two completely different things. So until it's deeply ingrained in me, until it's second nature to me, I can't say I've had it. When you've had it is when you're living it, is when there's evidence in your life that it's working for you. That's how you know. So, what do I need to practice more? How do I harmonize my work-life balance? So for me, it's seeing how can I incorporate more activities that inspire me outside of my work, because I love my work. I'm so blessed to work with such amazing clients. But how can I do stuff that I like outside of my business? And then going back to your goals. Have you forgotten your goals for this year? Have you set your goals, or do you not have goals and you're just free flowing? It's up to you. You do what you want. But I'd encourage you, if you want your life to really take a good direction, have goals so that you can look back and you're like, this was my wellness goal. This was my spiritual goal. goal. This was my relationship goal. This was my business and career goal. This was my home and space goal. This was my fun and leisure goal. And look back and say, wow, this is what I did. This is what I accomplished. This is what I came out with. This is the perfect time for you to pause and ponder these things, because we're still in the second week of the year. I'll be teaching a master class. Is it a week from now? And it's called the upgraded life, and it's linked to this. How do you take the limits off so that you can lead your upgraded life in 2023? You'll get to hear more details of that. So obviously, if it's something that you're interested to learn more about, just write in the chat the upgraded life, and I'll definitely send you more information as you go about that, right? All those things that happened, that happened in 2022, yeah, the year that was, how they made it, how the things that happened, the good, the bad, and the ugly, it was all worth it. But put it in the past. You endured, you suffered, you survived, you pulled through. And it may sound cliche, but as long as you have the breath of God in you, He still has so much purpose for you, and no good thing will He withhold from you, because you're committed. You're not interested, you're committed. And I'm going to talk about interest and commitment, because I saw a really good image, and I'm going to share it with you guys on the call. Committed versus interested. So think about this for yourself. When you're committed, you find a way. When you're interested, you find an excuse. When you're committed to do whatever it takes. Yeah. When you're committed, you do whatever it takes. When you're interested, you do what's convenient. When you're committed, you do it consistently. When you're interested, you do it occasionally. When you're committed, you take accountability. You take full responsibility for the thing. When you're interested, you point fingers and you shift blame. So I want to ask you this as I'm coming towards the end of this training. Are you committed, or are you interested in taking the limits off in 2023? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, it's you to decide, right? And I love the theme for the year for my Kenyan church, Parklands Baptist. It's the year of the Lord's empowered world changer. And I love that theme, because if you're an empowered world changer, you will be committed. You will not be interested. If you're a committed world changer, you will be willing to be uncomfortable and to take the limits off. If you're an empowered world changer, you're willing to invest in yourself and to get the support to move you forward. If you're an empowered world changer, you're going to ask yourself the question, how can I be more empowered? How can I contribute more in my community, in my society? How can I be a more valuable member of the community? So I want to leave you with these thoughts. But before I finish, I also want to remind you that you're going to experience change this year. It's part of the process, and change is good, right? Part of taking the limits off is having a ability to accept change, right? Change can be overwhelming, change can be daunting, change can be, it can, we can be like, I'm not ready for this transition. But I also want you to look at change as liberating and exciting. So the changes you're making for yourself this year, think of them as liberating. They're going to push you forward. They're exciting, right? Understanding that you're not moving from a place of anxiety and fear, but you're stepping into growth and opportunity. So are you ready to embrace change this year? And although change can be unpredictable and difficult to manage, I have found for me it has really helped me in terms of my self-development and improving myself. How I how I relate to people, how I relate to, as I said, adversity, how I receive. In fact, we need to have a full video on how to receive. It's critical to remember that change is life. It's part of the life process. It's part of the human experience. So when it comes knocking your way, because it will, Be ready to embrace it this year. That's how you take the limits off. And the right thing to do for yourself and the right thing to do for where it is that you're heading is to be ready to accept and embrace it when it comes knocking. Be ready to embrace and accept change when it comes knocking, right? So there are three things that will help make change more comfortable or more easy to adapt or easy to transition into, and it requires three P's. So I'm going to tell you the three P's that are very important for you as you're in transition, as you go through the change process. Number one is patience. Understand that change will not happen overnight, even you wrapping yourself around what that looks like, right? So if you're changing from moving from your corporate job to launching a business, you need to have patience. The second thing you have to have is passion. Are you passionate? Are you passionate? Can you see the excitement for this change? Whether it's good or bad, like, you will be fine. Always remind yourself, I will be fine. This far God has kept me, I will be fine. And then persistence. Be persistent even through that process. You know, being on the online space, running an online business, working with people all over the world, it's not easy. It's very uncomfortable sometimes. I've had to really step out of my comfort zone, and it's not an easy feeling, right? But I have learned to embrace it. I have learned to flow with it. I have learned to understand that change is part of the process, and I understand it. And I've come to really educate myself around how to handle difficult situations and how to coach myself and coach my clients through adversity, through change, through those kind of things. So I want you to think to yourself, how am I going to take the limits off this year and know that I'm going to do things differently? Because the same way you've done things, the same methods you've done things, the same formulas you've done things, if they've not served you well, you have to question them and ask yourself, who do I need and what do I need to change? Because if you're doing the same thing and yielding the same results year in, year out, you have to ask yourself that question. That's why my last point is about moving forward with grace and guidance. If you could have done it on your own, you already would have done it. I have a program called The Next Level on Purpose, and I was telling the ladies on our first call this week, I was telling them that if you could have done something, you'd already have done it. But sometimes you need to have somebody who will gracefully guide you through the process, and understanding that yes, struggles will come, but you need a community, you need someone to hold your hand, you need somebody to really help you really see yourself for who you are and what you're capable of, because many of us do not know how capable we are, right? So building a better future for yourself, building a better career for yourself, building a better business for yourself, building a better relationship for yourself requires you to be gracefully guided. So, do you have a therapist? Do you have a coach? Do you have a mentor? Right? Do you have people who you can have deep conversations with around these things? Or are most of your conversations or most of your relationships just surface? Ask yourself. Do you have deep connections with the people around you, or again, are the relationships you have just surface? Surface. Do you have the knowledge, the resources, and the creativity to develop innovative solutions as you go through this year? You need to be gracefully guided. You need to be gracefully guided. So ask yourself, who do I need to support me in this journey? Right? Understanding that facing the new year with grace and guidance, right? And getting the support to help you see yourself for who you really are. I keep telling people, whether your business succeeds or not, that's not where your worth is. Your identity is way beyond the things, the people, the elements that most of us set ourselves to. And you have to be in a position where you're ready to receive and hear more of who you could be and what you could be and where you can take this thing to. And grace is what provides us the strength to forgive ourselves when we go through difficult situations. And also, grace is what gives us the ability to forgive others as well. Because people, as I said, will hurt you. People will hurt us. People will say things. People will offend us. But it is grace that will take you to the other side. It is guidance that will make you make the right decisions to stay on track and to reach your goals. So, grace and guidance is what will help you take the limits off in 2023. And when you get that balance of both, the balance of grace and guidance, you'll get a sense of peace and comfort even when things look potentially uncomfortable. So, as I finish this, we don't know what this year holds for us. We're not God, but we know the God who holds our future. We serve a limitless God. We serve a God who is beyond, our wilder, He can do beyond our wildest thoughts, dreams, and imaginations. And I just want to say this. You are limited. You are limited, but God is unlimited. You are finite, but God is infinite. You must be willing to say yes to God's vision for your life continually, not when you feel like it or when everything sounds convenient. That's why I said to you, for you to take the limits off, you have to move from being interested into the commitment zone, right? And understanding that you've not been given a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So for me, when I realized that I've been given that power, I've been given love, I've been given a sound mind, I've not been given a spirit of depression and anxiety. I said to myself, I'm not going to yield to fear's deadly, diabolical schemes any longer. Yes, I get worried, I get anxious, I'm human, but I knew that there's no way I'm going to sit and allow my joy to be stolen from me, my peace to be stolen from me, and my vision to be crippled because of fear. So I had to learn to think, to speak, and to act differently. And that is what I'm teaching you today. The capacities, the learning to trust yourself, right? The creating of the vision and the goal, you walking through in grace and being guided, right? And even though I've made tremendous steps, I must say this, I'm still on my journey. I still have work to do. Fear did not go away because I made a stand, right? It's not like it just melted away. It still tries to throw me off course in various areas of my life, but I choose to move in faith. And that's what I want you to do, to move in faith daily, to fight daily against fear and not to give up and to give in. So I'm going to give you 5 action steps real quick in the battle against fear, because for you to take the limits off, you have to understand how you're going to battle fear, right? And you can implement this so that you can live out your vision. As I said, for me, my words are maximum impact, maximum results. So for me to live out my vision with maximum capacity, to get maximum impact and to get maximum results, number one is enlarging my capacity. So you put your name. Joanne is enlarging her capacity to receive, right? You must realize that God's will is not to give you a vision that He's not going to fulfill. He's not like that. He's not, doesn't come, he's not malicious that He comes dangling carrot sticks at you, giving you visions and dreams that He cannot bring to pass, right? So stop trying to get your vision from some guru, some self-acclaimed guru. Oh, my coach is going to help me. Your coach is a conduit. You need to go to the person who gave you the vision himself, right? Ask God, you're the one who gave me this vision. You're the one who gave me this thing. Yes, I'm partnering with my coach. I'm partnering with my mentor, but don't just take things that people tell you. They're not God. They're not, right? So ask yourself, how can my vision be more succinct? Because it is your responsibility to live out your vision, and being ready to enlarge that capacity to receive and to allow Him to show off His greatness in and through your life. Every day I ask myself, Lord, show off through me, show off through my life. My life is not perfect. I've never said it is, but show off through me. Help me to be a conduit. Help me to be a vessel. Use me. Use me as you will for your glory. May I be within your perfect will for my life. Because many of us operate within the permissive will, not the perfect will. And you really need to start. I'm not going to go into that because I'm finishing. But ask yourself, am I in the perfect will or am I operating in the permissive will? Those are two very, very different things, and they're very important for you to understand. So research on that if you don't know what that means. Number two, be willing to request exactly what it is you want from God. So if you want your vision, make the vision, make it plain and all that. Make it plain. Be clear. This is what I need. Don't be afraid. Don't beat around the bush. You can ask with confidence, right? The Bible says this is the confidence which we have before Him, that if we ask anything, right? For me, the word anything, according to His will, He hears us. And if we know that He hears us in whatever we ask, we know that we have the requests granted to us, which we have asked of Him. And having that confidence for me is so reassuring every single day, right? Because God knows what you're in need for even before you ask, but He wants your request to be specific. Be specific. So the specificity is, Lord, give me money. What does that mean? Money can be 1 pence, money can be 1 shilling. But say I need $10,000 so that I can be able to pay my loans and pay this and the other. Be clear, be succinct, right? And then when you're clear and succinct, walk with that assured confidence that He already knows your request and He's there standing ready to support you and help you. The third one I'm going to say in this area where I'm giving you the action steps for you to lead with impact this year and to take the limits off, apart from requesting for what you want, is to refuse to limit God's power. As I said, God is limitless. You are limited. But if you say that, you know what? God, you are infinite. You are limitless. Your personal resources, Joanne's resources, my experiences, my education, my abilities, they're nothing. They're insufficient, right, for my vision to be fully activated. But when I go to God and I ask Him for His insights, and I ask Him for His instruction, and I ask Him for His interaction in every aspect of my life, I'm like, give me insights. I want to interact with you so that you can reveal to me what I need to do. Give me innovative strategies that have not been released in this world. He'll do exactly that because He loves to show off through us. So refuse to limit God. And don't worry if things are not progressing as fast as you want, because if you trust God's vision for your life, you know that. You know this. If worry creeps in, it will limit you from receiving that power. So you have to say to yourself, I'm not going to cohabit with worry. I'm not going to cohabit with anxiety. I'm not going to cohabit with fear. I'm going to trust that everything that is meant to be birthed through me will be birthed. And that God knows what He's doing. He's God and I'm not. So I'm leaning on Him 100%. Worry will not only limit God's power in your life, but it will also destroy the progress of your vision. The next thing that you need to, as an action step, is changing the way you think. And I've talked about this. Change how you think. There's a saying that I read somewhere that says something like, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. So start thinking about how can you use your mind creatively, right? Because your mind was given to you so that it can engineer, right? It can engineer your vision. It can respond to your vision. So start asking yourself, how can I change how I see myself? How can I change the words that come out of my mouth? So read books. As I said, I'm reading a book a week. Read blogs. Listen to podcasts. If you've not listened to my podcast, listen to my podcast. Next Level on Purpose. New season is coming soon, right? and allow yourself to receive incredible insights from other people. Refuse to allow limited thinking to infiltrate your mind. Refuse, like say, I'm not going to allow limited thinking to infiltrate my mind. Because he who is in me is greater than he that is in the world, and he's given me everything I need for godliness and right living. So understand that if you're in that place where you're like, you know what, your vision for me, though it tarry, it shall come to pass. I put it in my WhatsApp stories today. I'm gonna share it with you. And as I was going through my WhatsApp, I was just happy looking at it because I'm like, yeah, this is it, right? This is it. Yeah. For the vision, you can see it there. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it will speak and it will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it will speak and it will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Habakkuk 2, 2 and 3. So as Esther says, I'm going to finish with her words here. I refuse to allow limited thinking to infiltrate my mind. Ask yourself, and this is my parting shot, how can I take the limits off in 2023 and live the vision that God has for my life this year at maximum capacity? How can you live that vision at maximum capacity? So go back if you haven't watched this video from the beginning. It's been very insightful. I'll also listen to it when I'm on the treadmill tomorrow. I've learned to listen to some of my trainings because I'm like, oh, there is something, someone really used you, right? And when I'm doing these live streams, I flow. So sometimes I don't even know what I'm saying, because I operate from grace. I operate from a place where I'm just receiving what is being downloaded to me. Yes, I prepare. Yes, I study. But a lot of it comes to me as I'm talking. So I need to go back and I'm like, wow, that was really powerful. That was really good. So take the time to watch it. Sometimes you're like, oh, it's long. She did talk for 1 hour. Watch it in segments. I do that sometimes for my own videos. I'm like, it's long. So I do 20 minutes and then another day, 20 minutes until I'm done. So don't stop yourself from receiving what you need to receive because you're scared of things like, oh, it's so long. Will I have the time for it? Because what matters at the end of the day is how your life will change as a result, right? And make room for that expectation for good. Be expectant, be ready, focus on what you can do today that will help you become better today, and then layer it so that tomorrow you add on to what you've done today, and the day after you add on to the yesterday and the day before, and it becomes a layered process. And as I always say, do not be afraid to express your feelings and to ask for help. Help is always at your availability, but you have to be ready to get supported. I always say big dreams require big support. So allow yourself to get that support, allow yourself to get that help. Don't think you can do it on your own because on your own you'd already have done it. And understand that your feelings are valid. There is no shame in asking for that graceful guidance. So as I leave it, I'm gonna put my thank you so much. Thank you so much, Esther. I'm going to put the calendar link. I'm taking calls for people who are looking for support in coaching for this Q1. I'm very excited for the programs that we've launched. We started this week, but week one is usually introduction, so somebody can be like, you know what, I want to join in. I want to see what she's doing, and I would want to just have a conversation to see what things are happening. We'll be having a few programs coming out. We have the Upgraded Life Masterclass coming on the 23/01/23. You guys will get to hear about that. What else is coming? Mindset Makeover. It's one of my very popular programs. It's coming in. It's coming in the beginning of February. So there's lots of ways that you can plug in. So I'm just going to put in my link for the clarity call. so that you can be able to schedule your 30 minutes clarity call to see how I can support you, if at all. So I'm just going to put it here, and it's in the chat, but I'm also going to show it to you. So to learn more about how you could potentially work together, that's the link, bit.ly clarity call with Joanne. It's a no obligation call. I'm not going to force you to buy anything that you don't want to buy, but if you're looking for that support for a coach who cares, and you know that this is the year that you're taking the limits off, let me help you on that journey. Let me gracefully guide you and hold you to account, whatever that looks like for you. So screenshot that, take a link, take a an image of it, and I will look forward to talking to you. So the weekly sessions are back starting today. So we'll have tomorrow and the week after. The February schedule might change because I will be traveling. So obviously I need to take care of the time differences based on the part of the world that I will be. So with that said and done, it's been wonderful as always. Take the limits off. God, understand at the end of the day, He is God and you're not. And that He is infinite and you are finite. And that He is limitless and you are limited. So why do you want to trust your limited self? Trust the one who started the good work in you, and believe that He who started a good work in you is faithful, is faithful, is faithful, is faithful to complete it. See you next week, same time. So 4 p.m. UK, 7 p.m. is African time, and 11 a.m. Eastern for my American folks. So see you next week. We brought it a bit earlier. So I look forward to seeing you then. Take care. Bye, and have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful start of the year, second week of the year onwards, and be ready to do great things. All right. See you. And for those who I'll be talking to on the phone, I look forward to interacting with you and seeing how I could potentially walk this journey with you. You're not on your own. I'm here to hold you accountable and to walk with you and to make sure that you get exactly what you need to do, exactly what you need, so that you can take the limits off this year. Over and out. Bye.